In today's video, we are going to discuss something just is not sitting right with my soul. I got a feeling. Feel like something's about to happen and it just might not be right. Also, we are going to talk about the Ravens and their salary cap, how much they have left to play with, and how it's going to affect free agency right before the draft. And a decision looms large for the Ravens front office in the next couple of weeks. All that coming up now. So with this week's upcoming draft, mere days away, Ravens sitting with the 30th overall pick and holes to fill everywhere on the team. Most think that the Ravens are going to draft an offensive lineman to shore up the holes that they have by letting 3 of their 5 offensive linemen go during free agency. But there have been many pundits, prognosticators, and publications that have stated they think the Ravens are going to go either defensive end or possibly a cornerback. To me, this seems ludicrous. But the more that I think about it, the more this may be true. Over on Sip the Talent, when we do our stream of the draft, I have a feeling that we're going to be sitting there for a while for either one of 2 reasons. And with either one of those decisions, I'm not going to be a happy camper. The first is, I have a feeling that the Ravens are going to trade out of the 30th spot to acquire more draft picks. They feel like the more draft picks they have, the more holes that they can fill. But by moving back, you get some of the lesser talented players within the draft. Just because you fill a draft with quantity does not mean you're going to give your team a bunch of quality. We've proven that before with having 9, 10, 11 draft picks, and most of them still not making an impact on this team. And I think that the excuse that has been brandished about, one that gives them a license to ill, is when people start saying this is an offensive talent rich draft, this is a wide receiver rich draft. This gives them excuses to either draft someone they're not supposed to or move back because they feel that they can get someone of equal quality later in the draft. But to me, that just doesn't make too much sense. Yes, some of these guys may be talented, some of these guys may outperform their draft status, but you never know. To me, the later you get in the draft, the less talented the player might be, and I do stress might be. So you trading back and getting 2 players that are not equal to the one that you could have drafted in the first round, it does not make sense. And the second thing that I'm fearing, I also feel that the Ravens are going to be in the market for drafting a cornerback. And to me, I'm not understanding this. You are looking for the future, possibly if you're going to move on from Marlon Humphrey. But the Ravens are in win now mode. They're trying to reach the Super Bowl right now, not later. We are looking for guys that can contribute now and not later, because we don't know if later on those players are going to be the players that we thought they were going to be when we drafted them. I mean, all of this is a crapshoot, but if you're trying to win during Lamar's peak, you are trying to surround him with as much talent as you can, not overdraft a position that may come in handy later on. That's what future drafts are for. That is what future free agents are for. You kick that can down the road until you can't kick it anymore. So for me, I just got this feeling that they are going to draft a cornerback, especially if Kool-Aid McKinstry or Cooper DeJean are on the board when the Ravens draft. Now, they could go pass rusher. This is a need, but the Ravens have been more successful drafting defensive players in the later rounds than they have been drafting offensive weapons as the draft proceeds. So just please, make the right decision. Draft an offensive lineman. I know people are high on Ben Cleveland. They think he's paid his dues, and this is going to be the year that he explodes. And there are a couple of other guys on the roster, but we just don't know. I think the time is now that we get away from just not knowing and hoping to finding people that can play. And with that brings me to the free agency portion. Now, free agency has calmed down quite a bit. There have not been many moves made recently, but there still are a few people out there that the Ravens can look into. But the only problem is the Ravens right now, as it stands, only have around $7.2 million spent under the salary cap. So that makes things more difficult because you need that rainy day fund just in case players go down, and you need to sign some other free agents. But the Ravens need to bring in competition right now. You still have Mekhi Becton, Andrews Pete, and Dalton Risner. So there are a few guys that you can still bring into competition at the guard spot. Doesn't mean that you have to keep them, but you can still bring them in and see who wins the battle start on the offensive line. Competition never hurt anybody unless you're a Ravens fan and you don't want to take snaps away from people. That to me makes no sense. The best people are going to be on the field. If you can play, you can play. They'll find a way for you to get the ball, unless it's the Ravens in the playoffs.
Got him!
So with a limited cap, the Ravens are kind of hamstrung on what they can do. I don't believe that they can solely rely on the draft to fill all the needs that they have, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Because to me, the time is now. The time is now for the Ravens to go all in. Like EDC said, we're always all in, but there are videos to prove otherwise. But seeing the past playoff failures, it is time to do something different. It is time to invest and go all in on Lamar Jackson and this offense and see where they can take us in 2024. And last but not least, there is a large decision looming over the Ravens front office. The Baltimore Ravens have to decide what they are going to do as far as the fifth-year options are concerned with Odafe Owe and Rashad Bateman. To a lot of people, they feel like both of these players, that the Ravens should be all in and pick up their fifth-year options, but it is not that simple. Each fifth-year option is worth around $14 million apiece, and the Ravens just don't know what they are going to get from these two players. It is not like they can play out the full season, see what kind of production they can get from these players, and then make their decision. So the time has come now. The bill has come due. It is time for the Ravens to decide. Now, when it comes to Odafe Owe, he has flashed great potential. He has shown us that there are times when he can be a truly dominant force. Then he's shown us times where he just disappears in games or he is hurt. And with the Ravens lacking pass rushers, they may need to keep Odafe around just because they need that continuity when it comes to the edge rushers. They don't know what they're going to get out of David Ojabo. We don't know what we can get out of a full-time Tavius Robinson. And yes, Kyle Van Noy is signed for one more year, but he will be another year older, and we can't expect him to carry this pass rush. So do the Ravens risk it and go all in this draft and possibly find his replacement? Maybe they can pick up someone in free agency. Who knows? But many seem to think that the Ravens need to pick up this option and keep him around just to have someone on the roster they feel they can depend on. Now, conversely, it's a whole nother conversation with Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman has been marred with injuries his whole career, and last year being fully healthy, he was, some may say, underutilized when it comes to the Ravens offense. Some say he was open, some say he wasn't, some just believe he's really ineffective. I think that Rashad Bateman has the talent to be a dominant wide receiver in this league. It's just some kind of disconnect between he and Lamar that they need to get settled this season, because like some free agents, he may go elsewhere and ball out. We don't know. But giving him $14 million for no production, to me, I'm not really too sure of. You weren't going to give Hollywood his fifth year, and he was way more productive than Bateman has been throughout his tenure with the Ravens. Year in, year out, the Ravens are up against the salary cap and giving up $28 million to a cap with the potential to sign them to a long-term deal to lessen that hit, but $28 million. As it stands right now, we are $7 million under the cap, and we need every penny that we have. So decisions have to be made carefully. The Ravens have to think about what's best for the future, what's best for right now. I don't know if this contract situation adds to the disconnect between Rashad and the front office, but something needs to change. So over the next 2 weeks, we shall see what is going to be the formation of the Baltimore Ravens in this iteration for the 2024 season. And hopefully it is a cohesive unit that actually gets us over the top. Hopefully we can add the right pieces and make the necessary changes to take that next step to make it to a Super Bowl. We were just right there on the cusp. We were right there. And with a few different decisions made, we could have beaten the Chiefs. Now, if we come back with a more talented roster, especially offensively, that may take us over the hump. Defensively, even with all the free agent departures, we know the Ravens are going to be good. They may not be one, but I guarantee you they will be top 5, or at least top 10 at the worst. And the difference between 5 and 10 is not that great. The margin is razor thin. But scoring, that's what wins in the NFL today. And that's what the Ravens need to invest in. Investing in Owe helps the defense. Investing in Rashad, we just don't know yet. But something has to be done, because after this season, Zay Flowers is really going to be the only wide receiver that is under contract that has any type of production for the Ravens. Now, that is not to say that once the season is over, the Ravens can't re-sign Rashad Bateman to another deal, but will he want to come back to a team that didn't truly believe in him and underutilized him, and also a place where he had some friction with the leadership on the team? So this possibly is another reason to draft a wide receiver high in the 2024 draft, because we are running out of weapons for Lamar Jackson. The name of the game is to get Lamar weapons, to go all in and put pieces around him, not subtract. Even with lackluster weapons, the Ravens after that took pieces away, which boggles my mind. You gave him little, and then you started to give him less and expected him to perform even to a higher standard. So, like I said, within the next 2 weeks, we are going to know a lot about the Ravens, the direction that they're going to go in, and the future of this team. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you are aware when I come up with new material. Got a lot going on this week. It is draft week, so there are going to be a bunch of videos, a bunch of premieres, a bunch of cameos, a lot of stuff going on. Make sure you support. And also, I would like to thank everyone that helped me get to 4,000 subscribers. We finally did it. We hit that 4,000 mark, and it's all because of you. Couldn't have done it without you all and all of your support. And listen, let's continue to grow. Let's continue to get this. Also, if you want to support the channel even more, make sure you go over to patreon.com/ROUG, become a patron, and get up with all the perks that you get with being a patron of the Rogue Pod. Trust me, it is worth it. And it is as little as $5 a month. I got 5 where you get to join a community that's growing. We help each other out. If you're into YouTube, we help promote you. We help get you out there. We help build what you got on social media. So it's not just about supporting me, it's about supporting the community. And I appreciate you once again. So until next time,